Hello and welcome to the Ask Nachi show. And today we have another expert guest edition of the show. I love our expert guest editions because I get to hear from all my amazing friends and experts in the industry. It gives us new perspective and fresh way of thinking about things, right? So today you're going to love the show. I have a very special guest, Katie Allred. My friend Katie is an assistant professor of software development and marketing at the University of Mobile, and she founded churchcommunications.com and the very popular Facebook group called Church Communications Group, meant for church communication teams and church leaders who want to learn more about communication and digital and social media. And that is how I first knew her, but later we met in certain work arrangements and in conferences and so on, where we really learned to appreciate each other's calling and what God has called each of us to do. She has worked with 25,000 church leaders on their marketing and communication strategies. Additionally, Katie has previously consulted with Facebook on their groups product. She starts a group and then Facebook calls her and says, tell us how you created this amazing engagement on your group. And so she actually, taught a few things to Facebook. So that is how big an expert she is. And she's a speaker and blogs at katieallred.com. Here is my interview with Katie Allred. What are some of the pieces of advice or inputs do you have for church communication team members, people who work in a church media team? What can they do to make an impact for the kingdom, to be successful in their career? What can they do?
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about this, and just earlier we were just talking about metrics, and I think what is really important and can have a really bring big value to the kingdom is if we start measuring our success for Church Online, not by views, but by follow through. And so if you're doing Church Online, you're doing it on Facebook, for example, instead of measuring how many people are watching, measure how many people actually interact and engage, and not like just comment and like, but is there a way that you can create a call to action that is very clear and identifiable, and then that you can message them personally? So I think what would be great is if you set up a call to action like this post if you're new and you have questions, or maybe heart this post or love this post if you decided to follow Jesus today or whatever, and then actually message the people individually and not as the church, but as your personal profile. I think we have to kind of take away the body of Christ, the anonymity that we have as a church body online, and start adding faces back to it. The whole point of a church is that we're the community, right? Like, we are the body of Christ and we're all different. And I think when we look at our Facebook pages and groups, we really just look at this like anonymous thing, right? This entity, like a corporation. And that's just not what the church is, right? We are just humans that are together, that love each other. So I think it would be great if we could maybe take some kind of metric, instead of measuring success as we've got 1,000 views. That's such an anonymous thing. Say, hey, we followed up with 50 people who liked our post or who commented or whatever, and then we asked them, hey, can we send you a first-time visit gift? Most of the time we would give them a gift in person. So is there a way that we can actually just mail them a gift? Is there a way that we can create like a nice swag box or something, or a gift card or something that we can send and give people to welcome them in a completely new and different way, and then start individual conversations so that when they actually do show up to church in person, when we're back physically, they will feel like they already know you, right? Because they're friends with you maybe on Facebook. They've chatted with you before. They've received a gift. They feel like, hey, they personally really know me and care about me. I think that would be fantastic.
I absolutely love that. There's so much need for being real and being a human, and not just nobody wants to interact with the logo or a church name.
Right.
That's so true. Thank you so much. That was a lot of wisdom. Just one more follow-up question on that before we close is, do you have any workflow tips that could help church communication team members succeed? I mean, how to be efficient, or productivity tips, or one practical tip
Sure.
that you personally follow?
Yeah, so there are many comms teams to use communication request forms, but there are many that still do not.
Hmm.
And so this is a great time to go ahead and enact and say, hey, we're all working online. Nobody is in person or at the office. I mean, some people are, I guess, but for the most part, like we're still all working online. You can't come and drop a post-it note at my desk. And so this is a great time for you to learn how to use a communications request system, a form of some sort. And you can use any kind of form system. It doesn't have to be a fancy one. You don't even have to pay for them. I know Wufoo and Jotform are free, and many other different form systems have free tiers that you can start on. Just create a really basic Google form, that would be fine too. And then have those forms feed into a project management system where you can keep track of those tasks instead of keeping track of all of your tasks in your email inbox. I don't know about you, Nachi, but mine is a mess right now because it is filled with things that I should have done months ago and I am still catching up on. And so I'm like, this is not a good task management system. There's no way that I'm going to remember to come back and do all these things. I'm overwhelmed every time I look at it. And so it would be better if these things that were marketing requests or comms requests went into a specific place. Otherwise, they will get lost. And that's what you should communicate with your leaders as you're asking them, your ministers, as you ask them to switch. Say, hey, I don't want your stuff to get lost. If you email it to me, it will likely get lost. What we want you to do is instead put in a communications request and put it 2 weeks out. Don't put it in for tomorrow, right? I'm only a human. It's just funny. I think pastors think we can automatically create whatever they want within 24 hours. And I mean, we've moved heaven and earth before, but it's just like asking them to preach an entire sermon series on Romans tomorrow. A lot of times, like you could, but do you want to? I guess it's, it's the best thing for the church for me to have to feel this much stress and weight on my shoulders to get this right. And so, I think that they need to put it in a different perspective. A lot of times they just think creative work can happen automatically. They have no idea the amount of time and effort that really has to go into doing it really well. And so we just have to give each other a little grace as well.